sitting in my lovely kitchen, letting the sun come up, storing some of the good light. As you can see, just back from Cuba, my wife and I went on a trip there, explored the country a little bit, took a little bit of time off. And I'm thinking about, I wanted to research an art project that I want to photograph down there. So we went there and arranged some guides and some places to go. And we're gonna go back in the fall and do something very succinct in Cuba. Cuba is an amazing country, trapped in time, as you can see. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about going to the country. Lately, I've been on a little bit of a kick. I've been selling a lot of my gear off. I sold my Hasselblad kit, my film Hasselblad kit, because I'm just not using it anymore. And it was getting old and things were starting to not work on it. So I got rid of that because of course I use my Rolly all the time now. And what else did I sell? I sold my Pentax 6.7. The only digital cameras that I have are the cameras I use for work, but I've been really paring down a lot of stuff. I've had too much stuff. Part of the reason that I have too much stuff is because as a working photographer, I had to shoot a wide variety of assignments and I needed a bunch of different cameras, lenses to do those. And more so now, I'm not doing those. I'm doing kind of very specific things, very specific editorial work. And the amount of work and the difference of assignments that I'm doing isn't there anymore. So I am paring down my gear, and it's been a really good exercise getting rid of a bunch of stuff, because it was almost like it was giving me anxiety having all of this gear there and figuring out which one I'm going to use next. So when I went to Cuba, I did something that I've never done in my entire life. I took one camera and one lens. I took my Leica M10 camera and a 35mm f1.4 lens with me, and I just roamed around, and that was it. And it was just a great way to explore the country and to see the country and interact and feel the streets and feel the mood of the country and meet people and do that. One of the great benefits of traveling with just one lens like that is it really frees you up. You don't have you don't have any choices. You only have one choice, so you have to move your legs and you have to go up and you have to go down and you have to kind of figure out the photograph that you're going to take. And you can't take the same picture over and over again with one lens. You have to start looking at how can you, with this just one lens, start taking different photographs. And that was a really great exercise, something that I've missed doing for a long time. And I am keeping my large format camera, and I'm going on assignment with my with my 4x5 camera, and I'm just going to take my 150mm lens. So I'm going to start to do more things like that, because I found I really started to see as a photographer again and not get caught up with picking which camera I'm going to use or which lens, or if I'm going to zoom in or zoom out, and really not move around. So and I used to do this all the time, but in the past, the past 10 years or 15 years, I've been so busy a photographer, you take the whole kitchen sink and you have 10 lenses and everything, and you're always working. And it was also great to be getting on the airplane and just having my backpack with a book in it and my camera and a lens, and knowing that this was the only way I was going to make photographs. And I'm really glad I did. It was a really great way to go and experience the country. One of the things that I've learned is smaller is better, especially when you're traveling. Traveling is hard enough already, and I just have my roller carry-on and little backpack, and traveling small and light, it just offered me this freedom to go and explore and look for great light and look for compositions and look for moments that are happening. And I kind of really appreciate that. After a while, the camera and the lens just didn't matter. It was, you were using this simply as, simply as a tool, just as an extension of what you saw, to capture what you saw. And you really didn't think about it a whole lot. I kind of just walked around. And the other thing I did, of course, is you get really in tune with the light. And if you want to underexpose something a little bit or overexpose something a little bit, or get the exposure right on, you get really in tune with the light, really in tune with the composition. And of course, working with a Leica is even more so, shooting that street stuff. But the reason I use a Leica and take it around is just because it's light and it's freeing and it's easy to carry around and walk around the streets. And it's really not about the camera, although I love cameras. I mean, people always say, hey, it's not about the camera, but you actually have to really enjoy a camera and like using a camera and have it strapped around your neck and go out and take pictures with it. So I love the Leica, but there was this bigger thing happening of just experiencing photography in the country. A prime example of working on the street is I saw this woman with this great red umbrella standing across the street, and I took this photograph. And you can see here, it's very one-dimensional. She's standing there, the light is great. It's a cool Cuban street. And then, because you only have one lens, you start playing around with the compositions and other elements happening, like this car driving in and seeing if that works. And then the scooter coming by, and then this horse coming by, and that kind of really worked out well when the horse's head came by. And then, this photograph starts to work in layers. You have something in the foreground and something in the background, and then the background after that. And then your photography starts to get really interesting. So that was one of the great kind of little moments of working on the street and doing that just simply with one lens. So I'm a big fan of one lens, and it doesn't have to be a 35. It can be a 50, it can be a 28. I think that's part of the reason why we see so many great photographs with the Leica Q that has a 28mm lens, because people don't have a choice. You only have one lens, and you go and you take pictures within that range of the lens. So I would say, this is a short video of my Cuba trip. I relaxed a lot, I read a lot, and like I said, we did a bunch of research for going back there. So I only had a few times to go out and actually kind of experience the city and the people and hang out. We are going to go back in the fall. I would say give yourself this little assignment of the next time you go out, and it doesn't have to be on a big trip, but the next time you go out, even if it's just for a day, and just take one lens on your camera and explore where you live or how you live, and take those photographs and see what you come up with. I betcha you will be really surprised that after a few hours, just a few hours of seeing with just this one lens, that you'll really start to become in tune with it and look for photographs that happen in that frame. And the other great thing that I've always kind of preached about, that I always like, is when you start taking photographs just within that frame and using that one lens, that one viewpoint, you start to have authorship in your work. And authorship, of course, is really important. And people get to know you for that. And I kind of wish that I could kind of go for the rest of my time and just really pare down my gear and just use one or two lenses, because I think you could really start to develop a body of work. So many of the great photographers that I like, I know they're actually only using one lens. One great photographer that I like, Jerry Johansson, he uses a Rolleiflex, with a 80mm lens. And I know some of the large format photographers that I really like, they only used a 300mm lens or a 240mm lens. And it seems like a lot of the photographers that I really like only use one lens. I'm guilty as anyone for using a million lenses, simply because I'm a general assignment photographer and I do all kinds of things. But more and more going forward, I gotta just go out with one lens and discover the world in my way, with my vision. And it was a great trip. It was a great photographic trip because of that this time. Anyway, hope you like this. There'll be something new soon. Cheers.